Now joining us for this very important discussion is François-Xavier Ada-Affana. He's a media and communication officer for IOM, and he joins us now live via video. That's the International Organization for Migration. Nigeria is the officer for media and communications. François-Xavier Ada-Affana, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you for doing this with us.
Thank you for having me, News Central. Good morning, Nigeria.
Good morning to you. I mean, let's get started. Understanding modern slavery. How does the IOM, how are they working to define, so first of all, how are they defining modern day slavery, and what forms are most prevalent in Nigeria today?
So modern-day slavery is akin to human trafficking, and that is the recruitment of people with the aim of exploiting them for profit. As the report said, this is something that affects both men and women, children as well of all ages and all backgrounds who can become victims of trafficking, which is something that thrives also on ignorance. I think we have to start there. Trafficking in persons and modern-day slavery thrives on ignorance. One of the main reasons why we have a lot of people falling into these traps, a lot of people falling into these schemes, is because information is not made available. Information is not made available to them on how to spot these lies. Information is not made available to them on how to access protection and information. In the reportage that was recently shown, we talked about NAPTIP, and information is not always shown about the efforts that the government with its partners such as IOM and ILO, as we mentioned, are also doing. So what IOM does, we are the International Organization for Migration, and one of the components of our mandate is the protection of people on the move, migrants. And that includes victims of trafficking. So what we do is we provide a comprehensive package that helps victims of trafficking recover and rebuild their lives. That includes rescuing them, that includes voluntary return and reintegration, and that includes mental health, psychosocial support, a comprehensive package, because we believe that it's essential to address all these different aspects to have the person rebuild their lives with dignity.
Mental health, psychosocial support. I'm going to remember that for a question much later down the line. However, I wanted to ask you what you thought about this. It's a culture here in Nigeria to actually go to the village, get a young person, bring them over to the city, inundate them with house chores, under the belief that you are taking care of them, paying for their school fees. Could this be regarded as modern-day slavery as well?
It is a form of exploitation. This is what we would say. I think looking at the definition of human trafficking, we have to take into account a couple of components. The first is the act. That is the transport or the coercion or lying to someone, telling them that you're going for something when that is not the reality. The second thing is the mean. That is, you are transporting, you are facilitating the transport, you are aiding the transport of the person, and then the mean is the exploitation. So when we look at the definition, we have to keep in mind these three components that are contributing to what we call human trafficking today. So human trafficking, to recap, is the recruitment, transportation, transfer, or harboring or receipt of people with the aim of exploitation. So in a way, the schemes that we see where people are being told, oh, you can go and school here, when the person is not provided with the full information, it could be seen as a form of trafficking, but the best way to look at it is a form of exploitation, because there is a gain that is being made there on the person.
So in your definition, you use the word recruitment. What if in the case where there is no recruiter, what if in the case where it's voluntary by the individual who wants to simply perhaps maybe go someplace else, thinking that they would have it better in these locations? Who's to be held responsible here?
But we have to keep in...
I think we have a network issue here. Xavier might join us again while we're trying to establish a connection with him. But you do understand what I was trying to ask?
Of course.
Don't you? I mean,
yeah.
I've met people who have actually been on certain journeys voluntarily because they're like, I can't take it here in Nigeria again, and they've trafficked themselves across to different parts of the world.
Right.
Some of them make it, some of them are turned around, and the harrowing tales that they tell of people they see today and don't see them again tomorrow because of what happens and all of that.
Yeah. And the shame that comes with that is that when they get there and they realize they don't have the jobs that they're looking for, or they were sold a pipe dream, what happens is they voluntarily put themselves into very harsh situations.
Well, It's a very sad situation, and that's why we thought that we must commemorate, as the world commemorates this day tomorrow, for a day against human trafficking. We thought that here at New Central we have to bring that as well. So we have Xavier back now. Xavier, you were in the course of answering my previous question. If you would continue, please. Thank you very much.
So we were talking about who is held responsible. I think here is the thing. Information always comes from somewhere. And this is what we also need to get to the root of. Information about a scheme, information about a job, information about an opportunity always comes somewhere.
All right.
One is free to make a decision to go wherever they want, and that is voluntary, and they have the right to make that decision. Okay. But we need to intervene, and we need to make sure that people have access to the right information. People need to be able to make informed migration decisions. Here, we need to let the data speak for us. And the data that we have at IOM, between 2017 and 2024, we have helped a number of victims of trafficking return to Nigeria, about 4,800 of them. And when we look at the data on where they come from, the first states where they return to are Lagos, followed by Edo State, followed by Delta, Ogun, Ondo, Oyo State. Which is something that we have known for a while, but which is also something that I think a lot of Nigerians are aware of. Lagos, why is it? Because Lagos is a turning point. It's a turning point for a lot of people. A lot of people go through Lagos to travel wherever they want to go. But also Edo State, because for the past few years, we have uncovered and realized that there are a number of trafficking rings, trafficking and smuggling rings that target young women and men, specifically in Edo and Delta State, who are vulnerable. And when we say vulnerable, we're looking at people who are illiterate. We're looking at people who do not have access to economic and employment opportunities. We're looking at people who do not have access to information on how to migrate safely. And what happens is that these trafficking rings and schemes prey on the vulnerable and sell to them lies and dreams that they can make it elsewhere, when we know that this is not the case.
And what's the mechanism of these migrations? How do they lead from one spot to the other? What's the most used means?
Well, there are multiple ways that this happens. Usually what happens is that people would move from wherever they are, usually to Lagos. Lagos, as I said, is a turning point. So people, and then from Lagos, then people would migrate in various ways. There are people who migrate by plane. So from Lagos, they can fly to whatever destination they have been promised to. But also some people decide to take the road. So from Lagos, then they will travel up north to Kano. From Kano, then they would cross into neighboring Niger. And then from Niger, they do the journey all the way either towards Libya or towards Mali, Burkina Faso, Algeria, where they're going to. I think what needs to be said is that the trafficking rings are real, number one, and a lot of content and work has been done to expose them, but people need to be aware of it. People need to be aware, as I heard you say earlier, that not everything that glitters is gold. And people need to develop reflexes to know that whenever someone promises you something that is too good to be true, then that should raise a red flag.
Right. I mean, let me quickly just center in this stat, women and children. I think it's very important. Let's talk about the numbers for trafficking when it comes to women and children, and also what are the trends you're seeing with those numbers and the harrowing experience that they have to face. I know I'm putting a threefold question, but I'm being told we're out of time, so bear with me.
No, that is a very important question. I think our data shows that the majority of the people who are victims or survivors of trafficking are women. And they are also women of a certain age. I think from our data, we have 88% of the returnees who are women and girls, which is shocking. It is shocking because we know also why these women and girls are being trafficked for. The primary reason is for sexual exploitation, which is a shame, but which is also disheartening. And we have heard the stories. We've heard the many people that we work with, the many people we have rehabilitate and reintegrate in the society, tell us harrowing stories of sexual abuse, of harassment, of rape, by multiple partners several times, of exploitation and of labor, of pregnancies. We have met a number of children who were born out of these harrowing experiences. So it is a disheartening situation which needs to be, on which we need to put the spotlight. We have to continue putting the spotlight on this because regardless of what we think, traffickers are, number one, around us, but also any one of us could be a victim. We always remind people that anyone could be a victim because we are all vulnerable to this. All of us receive alerts on our phones, on our Facebook accounts. All of us receive alerts on our WhatsApp and our Telegram accounts. We all see a flyer, a poster that says, why don't you come study here? Or why don't you come get a job? Or any one of us can be approached by a friend, a neighbor who tells us, hey, how about we go to this place? So all of us are potential victims of trafficking, regardless of our level of education. We can all be victim and fall to this.
Now, real quick, what about the men? Why do they travel? Since we've spoken about the fact that it's prevalent when it comes to women and girls, why do the male victims also engage in this kind of a journey?
The overall reason why, the first reason why people migrate irregularly and by doing so fall sometimes victim to trafficking is the search for better economic opportunities. And that is something that affects both men and women. One of the key drivers of irregular migration and that accentuates trafficking in person is the lack of education and economic opportunities. So when it comes to men, one of the first reasons why they leave is because someone told them somewhere that there's a job. We have met people who were working in mines in Libya. We have helped people who were working on construction sites in Algeria, in Chad, in neighboring Chad, in Mali, and in Burkina Faso. We have rescued and helped people who were promised to go and play football. They were promised a brilliant career, only to fall traps to this. So you have a lot of people seeking better economic opportunities and who are looking to thrive and fulfill themselves, but they fall victim to these scams.
Oh, wow.
I mean, François-Xavier Ada-Affana, your country, you're Ghanaian, so I'm certain that your country is voting. It was yesterday, and the future is looking bright for Ghana, yes or no?
The future is looking bright for Ghana, but I am Cameroonian.
What?
However, I will say I am Cameroonian.
I should have known. I should have known from the French name. I should have known. But hey, Xavier, it's been wonderful doing this. We appreciate you for coming on. Thank you so much for doing it, just giving us more insight. We appreciate you.